Last video I talked about finding a writing community to call your own. Meet other writers. Where do they hide? I recorded that video walking around and my plan was to do the same today, but the weather is nasty and the forecast is heavy rain, so kitchen video today. When you meet a ton of writers, actually when you meet a ton of people, you will form stronger bonds with some than others. It's a matter of affinity. This is how it works. These people, the people you form the strongest bonds with, those are the people who are going to help you the most in your journey. In fact, I think it's around 80% of the job. Today's video is all about that. Once you have writing friends, how can you effectively help each other, support each other in your own writing journeys? If you've already made writer friends, it means that you have a place where friendship can happen, where you can relax, make jokes, increase your familiarity, your intimacy, your trust, and you should keep those spaces exactly as they are. What I'm about to tell you will add something on top of that, but it will never replace it, okay? Friendship is not a path that comes to an end. You're constantly befriending your friends. But when it comes to using this friendship power to help each other's writing journeys, you can be more deliberate. What you do is you create a care pod. A care pod, or in this case a writing care pod, is a place, even if it's online, where you're gonna spend some time and energy caring about each other's writing journeys. Care is a phenomenon that works best in small numbers, so I'd recommend your pods have something between 3 and 5 people, and that all of the participants have some form of familiarity with each other, even if they're not yet friends. Okay, cool, get it. But how does it work? What happens inside a pod? The pod has 2 main functions: accountability and support. And we're gonna talk about some of the easiest ways you can make those functions work in your favor. You said you were going to do something. Perhaps you said that you were going to publish your first book, or write chapter 6, or send that follow-up email to an agent. And you told your friends about it. Of course, writing is a part of you. Updating your friends on your writing is part of updating your friends on your life. This happens quite naturally in conversation. You tell your friend, yeah, I'm gonna do that. But what I'm proposing here is that having a designated space for that, a space where you can tell your friends, listen, this is what I'm gonna do by this time, under those circumstances, and then later on you can tell them, I did it, or even, I couldn't do it. This is powerful. For many people, like myself, this is the antidote for laziness and procrastination. And the more I care about those friends who are part of the pod, the less lazy I get, because I want them to feel proud of my effort. In an ideal scenario, and this ideal scenario is not so hard to recreate because you're interacting with your friends, the emotions, they will be overall positive. You're not working because you have to. There's nobody with a whip behind you. You're working hard because you want your friends to feel good about your journey. And even when you fail, what's thrown your way is not disappointment, but support, offers of help. Cool, that sounds amazing. But how do you create this accountability? The critical piece here is a reliable pulse. A moment that happens once every set amount of time and that everybody taps into. The reliability, the predictability are super important here and should not be underestimated. It doesn't have to be anything complicated though. In my current care pod, every Friday we take a moment to write a paragraph about our next week's goals and to evaluate how we did with our last week's goals. That's it, that's all. Simple as that. 2 paragraphs on Discord. It takes me 10 minutes every week. Sometimes we fail a lot in our goals, sometimes we succeed a lot in our goals, but we're always there. It helps me when I see a friend who failed for 2 weeks in a row succeed on the 3rd week. It fills me with determination. It also helps when I fail to remember that these people that I care about and that I respect as artists, they fail often, so why couldn't I? Besides, there's also a super interesting meta exploration of what kind of objectives really move you. For example, I found out that declaring I'm gonna work on this particular chapter moves me much more than declaring a word count goal. Another example, a while ago, a friend of mine from the pod declared that his objective was to regulate his sleep hours. And I thought that was great. It opened my mind. Sometimes the action that can help your writing the most is not exactly writing. So a couple of weeks ago, I declared that my week objective was to be less stressed than the previous week, especially about work. And I think it worked. I think it helped my writing more than any word count goal or anything. It helped to unleash my imagination. Summary. Invite your writing friends to a pod which is separated from the space where you hang out, and there form a reliable pulse where you will set your goals and you will evaluate your previous goals every X amount of time. That's it. That's as simple as that. And particularly when goals are not met, don't forget to support each other. Okay, let's talk about it. Support comes in many forms, and I encourage you and your pod to find your own spiel, but at the same time I wanted to give you some basic methods of support that I use normally, and especially the ones that are more writing focused. The first one is critique. It's always useful to have fresh eyes that you trust evaluating your work. I'm gonna make a full video about critique partners and beta readers in the future, but in your pod, this can happen in a less structured way. You can ask a critique for a single paragraph, or an application letter, or a query introduction. And many times you get unexpected answers. You might be expecting a I like it or a I don't like it, but you end up getting a I've seen this before, or oh, this feels out of character, which of course are super important, super relevant reactions. And sometimes you don't even need to send your text to get the benefits from the support. Just knowing that this group exists and that you don't have to evaluate all on your own if something you've written is good or not. You can rely on your friends to help you out. Just knowing that will give you the courage to carry on writing without worrying. You can worry about this later. You know you have support. Why worry? And hey, in writing, the ability to stop worrying for a second is golden. Okay, let's move along. Let's talk about celebrations. A lot of people, myself included, have a hard time celebrating their achievements. And this is definitely a place where the pod can help. It's much less daunting to celebrate for somebody else. And with the accountability pools you have, those friends will be very aware of where you are in your writing journey. So they are the people that can even point out that it's a moment that deserves celebration. Sometimes you just achieved something big, but you don't realize, because I don't know, I finished my first draft, but I'm already thinking about editing. But hey, you should celebrate your first draft, of course. And because they are somehow involved in your journey, but not so much inside your head, they can be the people like, hey, let's celebrate together. You just done something amazing. Your celebration doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be a huge party, but it is super important for you to celebrate your milestones, to associate those important moments of your work with laughter, mirth, and just generally good feelings. Your brain will connect those good feelings with progressing along the journey, and sometimes it's all you need to motivate you a little more to finish the last chapter, because there is something in your reward systems that remembers that, hey, soon we can all celebrate together. And you'll see it's a delight to celebrate your friends' achievements as well. Suddenly you don't have only this amount of celebrations, you have much more, because you're celebrating for all these people you care about. It's great. Okay, let's move along. We all dream of being great writers and having a lot of people talking about our characters and our ideas and our worlds. But before this happened, it can feel very isolating, right? As if you were the only person on Earth who cares about those characters, those words, those ideas. But if you're part of a pod, you don't exactly need to be alone. If your pod friends frequently share writing with each other, which is not a rule, okay? It's absolutely optional. But if you do, you should engage with each other's worlds, each other's characters. Crack jokes about the character's superpowers. Ask your friend how that character is doing, as if they were a person. Make comparisons between our current economic system and your friend's made-up one. Oh, I saw this image online and it reminded me of your story. Send them the picture. Be a fan. Talk about the stories. Daydream about the stories and make sure your friends know. It's a small act for you. But for somebody who feels isolated in their thoughts, as if nobody else cared, to have a confirmation that at least this one person cares, it means a lot. Okay, I wanted to share the most writing-focused support methods I had, but you know that support is not that simple, right? Support is many things, and there's no golden rule of what the perfect support is. You need to adapt to whichever situation presents itself. But one thing is for sure, if you're ready to support, if you show up for that with intention, that's more than half the work. Everything else will run smoothly. That's it, folks. This episode here was inspired by some of my professional knowledge outside of the realm of writing that I just adapted for writing. And actually, I do have a pod, and I've been living those emotions and experiences I just described, and I couldn't recommend enough. If you're interested in pods, for writing, or honestly for anything else, it doesn't have to be about writing. I have written some resources. I've linked some websites in the doobly-doo of this video, and yeah, pods are great. Check it out. This is a small YouTube channel, and each of those videos takes hours and hours and hours, like multiple dozens of hours to get ready. So if you could share this video with a friend or in your social media, that would be super cool. This video is supported by my first Patreon, this one here. If it's your first time here, enjoy the videos, have a wonderful time. I hope you're really liking this. If it's your 15th time here, consider donating a couple of dollars to my Patreon. That's it, folks. Hope you have a wonderful time with pods. Ciao, ciao.